podcast. Today, I am so honored and excited to have Martie Smith. She is a trailblazing resilience ambassador, award-winning author, and an inspiring voice for those seeking to transform their lives through strength and purpose. With over 35 years of experience teaching and developing resilience programs, Martie is committed to empowering individuals to overcome life's challenges, thrive in adversity, and create a legacy of hope and inspiration. So today it's all going to be about Martie's story of resilience and amazingness. And I'm so honored to have you here. If you want to say hi to everyone.
Hi, Kathy, and thank you for having me. It's like my little gold nugget to share my story with the world because I know if someone out there is just kind of wanting to throw the towel and give up and then they hear me, they're like, oh, wait a minute, I got more to look forward to. I just didn't see it. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's a simple thing. We just complicate life. And so I'm here to share my story and how I overcame so many things.
Yes, I'm so excited. And you are the true person like explaining about resilience. Your story is literally showing people how you could truly ignite your power and live the life that you deserve and that you desired. And you're like living in all of that abundance and amazingness. So,
Yeah.
Marty, you've had such a unique journey being born in South America and moving 49 times, which is, whoa, mind-blowing. Can you share
hmm
what your early life was like and how it shaped who you are today?
Well, I didn't see it back then as this way. It's like I thought I was living a nightmare. It's like, wait a minute, nobody knows me. I don't speak to anyone or whatever. So in actuality, now looking at the big picture and the actual what's developed out of it, I was very adaptable. I was used to constant change, always wondering how to fit in, always wondering what was going to be expected of me. So I was always like Johnny on the spot, ready and willing to adapt however I had to just to fit in, just to blend in. And what's beautiful about it is the importance of how that made me grow without even me knowing it, that I was becoming international. I was bilingual, so I had two languages, and then I could see the world with a bigger scope of how similar we all are. Even though I moved 49 times and I saw different cultures along the way, we still have the same commonality. And if I ever got lost in the language, because I learned English before I did my native tongue Spanish, I would always find a way to make the universal language work, a hug and a smile. And that would be like, okay, I got it covered. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know who these people are. I hate meeting new people because I don't know what they're expecting of me. I was always so stressed out about people demanding things from me as a little kid that it helped me. It helped me. Now I see that it helped me immensely. But back then it was like, I'm scared of life. And it's just cool how you come to realization that you've been blessed.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And it's so true. I love how you said the universal like language of like hugging or just like, I don't know,
Smile.
whatever it may be. And people just know that. You don't have to actually use words. Like they can feel your energy. And if you're coming from like a good heart, people can feel that. And so you're always like portraying that amazing energy. And how is it like, moving 49 times though? That's so wild to me. I can't even imagine that because most of us live in a place our whole lives, like once and or twice maybe max. And it's like 49 times. How did that really shift with you as a kid or like having friends and like hanging out with
Oh,
family? How
well,
did that even look like?
that that's the part that I felt I was lacking in so many wonderful things, is that I didn't make long lasting friendships. I didn't get to meet someone long term and stay with them. But since I realized all my gifts that I had been given, then I see that even though I didn't stay with them, or they made an impact in my life. They changed my attitude one way, shape, or form, especially after hearing that my mom said I was a mistake, that I shouldn't have been born, that they wanted boys. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? Either I I fight or fly, and I just kind of winged it for a little while, but at the same time, I was always curious. I think that was my saving grace to learn. As long as I was involved in the curiosity of learning something new, it kind of distracted all those emotions, all those feelings that weren't resolved. But I knew that sooner or later, one day, all that unresolved emotion was going to take its toll. Now I see why, but it's just wild how when you're a little kid, you don't see what you're actually going through, but going back and you realize the blessings that you received and the adaptability, then you're like, this was all well worth the effort and the struggle.
Yeah, so all your struggles led you into building that resilience that you have now. And then you keep saying everything's a blessing. And I love that because even though you had such a rough childhood, your mom literally told you you were a mistake. That is so sad. Like, you never want to hear that as a little girl. Like,
No,
but that taught you how to like keep moving forward. And then I remember you telling me like I just wanted to show her and prove her wrong that like I am not a mistake. And look at you now being like a three-time
I
best-selling
think
author, like being internationally known, like that, all these little things have led you into your life purpose and where you are now.
And that's the thing is when we look at things like as everything being bad or adverse, you don't see the shift or the perspective of looking at it as an opportunity to grow, as an opportunity to change that reaction of I'm going to defend myself, I'm going to run, I don't want to deal with this. No, and the more that I faced it, the more I realized that one day I was going to prove my worth, even if it was just to myself, but I didn't know it was going to evolve into what it has. So it's the coolest realization and epiphany to overcome after so many years of being totally depressed and feeling like I was a mistake in this world. So it makes a difference when you change your perspective.
Yeah, and how did you start changing that perspective? Because I know a lot of us get stuck in that victim mentality of like, the world is against me. I mean, I was trapped in that. I had infertility and I was like, God is punishing me. Like, they really, God really doesn't want me to be a mom. No, I'm totally meant to be a mom. And my story is I do have a daughter. She's like my little miracle. So, I
But
mean,
that's the
it's time.
thing.
Yeah, when you
But
go through something
we
hard, you don't know how to get yourself out of it. So how did you do that for yourself?
Well, I didn't do it deliberately. I didn't have it practiced or down pat, but I think on and off the distraction kept me going, kept that momentum of I'm going to find something. Well, fast forward and I joined the Air Force. And that was like jumping out of my comfort zone, but in a good way because I got a taste of freedom. It's like my parents are going to tell me what to do. They're not going to choose who I'm going to marry. They're not going to choose the career I want. That I get to choose. I get to see what I find my way feeling through all the serendipity and everything that God puts in our lives. But the Air Force helped me develop discipline. Like it would help me focus on a task at hand. And so it was like I was getting little bits of tools, little bits of resources that would come to culminate during the pandemic because the pandemic came. I have been operated 27 times in my lifetime. I've had I had a severe depression with psychiatric treatment. I mean, I was like bad in bed, a bad way and this is where I was accumulating that victimhood.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Oh, I suffered and I've moved and I don't have friends and I can't have children and I'm a mistake and my husband's not going to love me because I can't produce the thing that he dreamt we were going to be. But thank God I married a wonderful man. He's been my coach. He's been my support. He's been what's kept me going. And to me, that's God putting the very gold nugget I needed in my life to find that inspiration somewhere, somehow. I lost 70 pounds, 70 inches, and I started believing in myself. And during the pandemic, that change of mind started occurring, and I started building confidence. It's like, oh, wow, okay, so yeah, you've had all these hell surgeries and you've been through hell, but look at you. You're not bad, not too shabby. I became a personal trainer at 62, which was mind blowing because all I had ever dreamt was what motorized wheelchair am I going to find to be outside, outdoors, climbing Mount Everest? I didn't care. I was going to be out doing something. And I started taking empowering courses and I started seeing like all the little hints of everything that had made me put those blocks, that had made me realize that I was making my own, demise out of everything that was happening instead of growing an opportunity to learn and not repeating those patterns, not repeating those limiting beliefs and saying, because I think we're all born with a clear mind,
Yeah.
and we just add whatever comes our way, whatever trauma comes our way, we don't resolve it because pride, fear, or we have no clue. And then something triggers it to make it wake back up. We had more luggage to it. So I call it like the emotional garage just gets loaded with burden. And until you face it, until you decide what you can and can't control, what it is that you're learning from it, when you change everything about that luggage and you're like, I got tools. I got the ability to figure out a path different than having the you go in like in a vicious circle. Yeah, I want to do this. No, it didn't work. I can't do anything. We that constant uh, banter. We cause our own great chaos. We cause chaos because we're not getting instantly what we've been looking for. Instead of saying, okay, it wasn't my time, it wasn't my turn, I'm not ready, it's not the way to do things, and there's another way, and I'm going to find it. So the pandemic helped me see that, even though it's the worst
Yeah.
epic proportion time for the world, for me, for Marty that was living through the hell all her 60 years, all of a sudden was like, wow, what what is going on here? I became a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I got out of that wheelchair and I've had all these surgeries. I'm actually bionic. I have a spine stimulator installed in me that I have to charge just like a phone. And it's a cable that they run from your brainstem all the way down your vertebral spine. And it tells your autonomic nervous system, that fight or flight system, you're not in pain. Because what happened was I re-injured my knee, and that caused like that, when you hit your funny elbow and it's like, well,
Yeah.
it caused it in half of my side, and it was atrophying my muscles where the signals weren't firing into the muscles, and I was just wobbly. I couldn't even hold a glass of water without it spilling like I was in an earthquake. And it was mind blowing because I was like, what is going on here? I don't understand it. That spine stimulator saved my sanity. It saved my life, and it gave me the opportunity to do so many more things that I had dreamt. It took me out of that victimhood to a certain degree, but I still hadn't quite grasped it all. A book camp showed up during the pandemic after I had my body and mind transformation. It's like, I need to transform mind, body, and soul. Let me go with the soul. So I started looking, and all that guilt that I felt of everything not working out in life, all that trauma that I had built, is like, no, Marty, you survived. You surpassed. You have had opportunities that people don't have in a lifetime. Moving 49 times taught you about humanity, taught you how to adapt, taught you how to do many things that most people don't even realize they can do. So it was like, I am super blessed. It's like an avalanche of blessings started coming. A book camp showed up. It was free. I said, I wanted to write a book one day. Let me see what that's about. It's still very doubtful to me. I thought you had to be William Shakespeare to write a book. But I said, okay, let me go. It was the weekend. The first day I had my title, Resilience Nourishes the Soul. The first day I had my book cover. I take pictures with the iPhone because I love nature. And it's like, this is looking good. The second day, I had already started a YouTube channel with my transformation of body. So I was talking a lot about what the transformation had caused in me. And then I started realizing that the bottom common denominator of all the talks I gave was resilience. It's like everything was getting put together, like all the little puzzle pieces were making sense. And so I said, resilience nourishes the soul. Now is my chance. And this is where I said I had an epiphany. God said, all right, yes, you can write a horror story, a novel that's probably going to, send you tons of money, but you're adding insult to the injury that you already suffered. Is that what you want to bring to the rest of the world? Your brother passed away from the pandemic. Is that what you want? And I said, let me go back and look at my past and see what I can find. And then I started seeing all the different stages of all those life lessons of soft skills I didn't even know I was able to do, of all the little angels that God, the earth angels God put in there to give me that love that I wasn't getting from my family, to make me believe in myself. There's people that believed in me much more than I believed in myself. But when I wrote the book, I started seeing, okay, no, 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 you got the goods. You just didn't see it. So and it's not cockiness. It's like, wow, how mind-blowing it is to realize that you've gone the full spectrum,
Yeah.
totally wanting to give up life, and then all of a sudden you don't have enough life to give because you want to share it with the world. You want to put that drop of hope into everybody's uh, soul and say, okay, just because I did this and I went through this and I've had this hell doesn't mean that I can't see the good in life. Doesn't mean that there's not beautiful things that happen that we don't even notice. So all that disproportionate ideas and theology that I had of life just became more centered, more balanced. And I said, okay, I can control this. I can't control what people think. I can't control what they do, what they say, what they are. But I can adapt and I can take the good out of it. I can find the lesson. I can find the opportunity to change if I see something that reflects in me, because normally we see what we really are in others, but we're too proud to admit it. But when I started seeing, it was like that little mechanism to protect myself. Okay, no, no, Marty, you're going right back down the road you used to go. Don't do it. Don't go there. And I started seeing that I wasn't making all these U-turns and hitting the walls because in the Air Force, I was in the Air Force. I'm a veteran and I loved it. I loved working on airplanes. I loved being a mechanic on the flight line. It was different. The women were not big deal back then. In fact, I was one of the only women on the flight line. So I felt like, okay, I could tough this out. If I could tough it out at home, this is a cakewalk for me. So it just started making me realize that I did have confidence. I just didn't know to what degree. But so the book got published December 2022, and the next thing I know it, January 2023, I got an award for resilience. 6 months later, they called me from England, and I don't know who these people are, and they said, you've been nominated for a Woman of Heart Awards. And I was like, oh, that looks good on the resume. Still not registering in me that I'm an author. And then they called me in September. They said, come pick up your award. You've actually won. And I was like, whoa, okay, that still looks good on the resume. Meanwhile, while I was in England picking up the award next door in Ireland, they chose me of Women of Story of Global Impact. And I had managed to be on two anthologies between all of that period. And I was like, Marty, you can turn this into a business. You are a business. The business of following your purpose, your passion, and your mission. It's time to share it with the world. And now I see that maybe I didn't have children, but I want it. It gave me that desire to leave something better behind, that legacy of hope. And I've been a mom, even though I'm not officially a mom, because for 35 years I taught Sunday school. And those kids were little when I first started, 8 years old. Now they're married, they have their kids. And those little seeds of hope were being planted that I didn't even acknowledge. I didn't think you could see the fruits of your labor when you go out and do something like that. But now I see that if I had been a mom to some of these children, they probably wouldn't have nothing to do with me. They probably wouldn't have kept up with me or followed me. But it's just the coolest thing in the world to borrow them and give them back and have the best of both worlds.
Wow.
Anywho,
Yeah, your
It's
story,
a mouthful.
yeah, your story is truly so inspiring. Thank you for sharing all of that. There was so much like to unpack right there because I totally understand everything. And being from the Air Force and then being like one of the only women, that must be really hard. But I remember you telling me, you're like, Air Force was not even as hard as being at home, which is so wild to me. So you already had it within you, like all that confidence. And then you didn't see that for yourself until you had to go through everything. And even though other people see it in you, you can't see it for yourself. And all of us struggle with this, right? Everybody's like, like, if you talk to your friend or your family, they always tell you something like, you're amazing. Don't be so hard on yourself. But we are always hard on our own selves.
Yeah, I look at him like, what are you drinking? What kind of medication you on? Whoa, where'd you get that from? How do you even? But now I'm more like, you were right. You did see it. I didn't see it. I was blind. And that's what it is we get blinded by doubt, by fear, by insecurities and that's the thing that we need to address. We need to address who we are, what we want to do, and where we want to go with it. And line out our goals, line out our mission. And you'll see that when you have that pattern to follow, you don't sidetrack, you don't get distracted by all the bull that we face daily, because if we're constantly on the go and we stop every time and it throws us back, we don't see the path, we don't see the options, we're constantly holding ourselves back. So, and we can blame everybody because that's what we're good at. We're excellent at
Yeah.
excuses. I blame my parents. I blame the moves. I blame the commander. Whatever I wanted to say, I could pick the flavor of the excuse or the blame. But then I said, what about you? What did you do? How did you react? And it's a humbling experience. It puts you in your place and you say, wow, I could have controlled half of what I've lived through and I didn't even know it. So this is why I'm so um, obstinate about teaching kids, like the babies, that let's get them started on the right track to see. Because if you see a group of children in the park, in the playground, in the park, anywhere you go, they're happy-go-lucky. They have clarity. They have imagination. They have everything. And if they get into a tiff they're forgiving each other immediately. They're hugging. If we as human older adults could do what children do, this world would be at peace. This world would be so much more jovial, so much more cooperative and corroborative, because we do have a lot. Each and every one of us has something unique to offer. And each and every one of us should get together with the people that have that same feeling and make this world better. Make it change in this thing that we let other people dictate what we do. And that's not how life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
God wants us to be happy, joyful, and productive.
Oh, love that. That is absolutely true. I believe in that so much. And kids are our biggest teachers. Like they really are. And somehow along the way, we grow up and then we forget about how to be a kid. And that's why we're supposed to play, have fun every day. But as an adult, you're always thinking of like, oh, what do I have to do? How do I pay the bills? Like, you make things not fun anymore. So then life
Yeah.
starts getting not fun. It's like annoying. And then you get in the victim mentality of like, ugh, I gotta go to work and pay bills and do things that I don't like. And it's just a sad, sad cycle that most of us need to get out of, you know?
In a way, I'm thankful for being a workaholic, which had everything to do with wanting to learn all the time. But that's what kept me from going over the edge, from being in the pit of misery and giving up on life. I mean, there was times when I felt that way, but something kept me stopped. I say it was God's hand giving me grace, but I didn't see it then. It's like, life is hell. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it. This is the worst thing in the world. How could I? Why should I give up? And no, no, it's how we converse with ourselves that makes a huge difference. We have to be easy on ourselves. We have to love ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, how can we possibly potentially love anyone? We can't give what we don't have. But when you start discovering that you do love yourself, and it's not an arrogance, because I think that's another thing that we preconceive as it being, oh, I'm not all that. No, no, we are all that in God's eyes. Okay. And He wants us to see it, but He wants us to be humble about it and share. He wants us to not let those little fumes of pride, contaminate our being and we're better than everyone else. No, we all struggle, we all suffer, but it's how we handle all that card of whatever happens that makes a huge difference on how the outcome and what we produce in life. And it's that simple. Like I said, we complicate the heck out of life. I know I did. For the longest time, it took me 60 years. I'm now 65 and a half. It took me 60 years to realize that I was all this that I'm telling you that I want the world to know about themselves.
Aw. Yeah. And that's why you're so passionate. You don't want people to wait till they're 60 or older. Like you want them
Mhm.
to realize it now and like,
That's it.
really tap into their life purpose, joy, happiness. And
That's
that's
it.
what you put in your book, right? Like finding that soul part of you, building that resilience. And I know you were talking about how you did the mind body. That was your first step into like where you are now. But then that soul piece got you into like, catapult you into literally living the life that you desire. But how did that soul part really, tie into all of that? Was it like tapping more into like God, or was it like being more
Well, in a way,
hopeful?
I say I had initiated the process when I got out of the wheelchair and I had the spine stimulator put in me, but I didn't quite have the keys in the ignition. I just kind of like, wow, I'm very grateful. I saw the movie The Passion with Mel Gibson,
Mm,
and something stirred in me that had never stirred in me before about the faith. And it was like God was asking me for accountability of everything He had given me. So I started that's why I started teaching Sunday school. That's why I started doing a lot of things to like, I guess in reparation for all the misgivings I had caused with my soul, like not believing and just doubting. But where there's doubt, there's fear, and where there's fear, there's no faith. And I started gaining faith, and I started seeing that things were happening in a better way. And I was like, wow, okay, I've got everything covered now. The only thing left for me to do is make amends with my parents, because for 8 years I didn't speak to them at all. 8 years I didn't want to speak Spanish because all it ever got me was in trouble, or I was saying a bad word in one dialect of Spanish and another one it was normal. So I said English is my safe bet. I'm just going to stay with the English. And my mom knew both languages, but she always made it a point for me to be the interpreter. I guess in a way I see it now as she didn't want me to forget Spanish, but I saw it as a rebel, like, oh no, you know English and you speak it to everyone but me. So it was like, yeah, I didn't get it.
yeah.
But so I started counting my blessings, really counting my blessings, and said, okay, you're out of the wheelchair. God is opening up things that you never even imagined. Now what are you going to do about it? How are you going to share it? So I started sharing my testimony that way. But then the pandemic hit and it was like, write it down. And look at what it's opened up, because I'm on my 10th book. I got 3 bestsellers last year. Two of them are anthologies, one a solo book, but it doesn't matter. It's like God wanted me to pour out my expressions, my all the things that I had held back all my life because I was afraid what people would say. I was afraid how they would take me, and I was always quiet and not get, I didn't want to cause commotion. But at the same time, I could hear myself going, that conversation that just drives you insane. And the faith really took over, and especially teaching young people. And I was like, if I had that when I was younger. Yes, I went to the Catholic schools. Yes, I went through all the names and the titles of what the faith was, but I never lived it. Because I used to go to church and on Sunday, wow, this is beautiful. Music's beautiful. Everything's at peace. We're in the parking lot and already all hell's breaking loose. And I'm like, I want to stay in there. That's the conversations you have with yourself is it doesn't make sense why you're doing something and then during the rest of the week you're doing something completely different and then you go back, you switch in mode. I said, no, there's got to be some flow to all this and there's a reason for it. So when I started teaching faith, I was teaching myself what I was missing. And it was like, oh, I get it now. And then I see that because I've kind of like turned it over to God, I say he's the pilot of my life, and I'm asking him for guidance. I'm asking him to keep me on my mission and my purpose. And he's opened up doors that I never imagined. And that's the beauty of when you see what really faith is. And I'm sure I don't know what denomination anyone is, and it doesn't really bother me at all to meet other people from other faith. I just see that there's goodness and there's bad. And I want to be around the goodness. I want to promote that. I want to, cherish that as long as I live, because as long as there's goodness, there's hope. As long as there's goodness, there's productivity, there's growth, there's change, there's everything that we need in this world. And if we forget that that exists, we're going to succumb to everything that darkens our spirit, that it takes out that little spark. And that's what we have. We have a little spark and we have to keep fueling it. We have to make it burn and we have to make it bright so that other people get contaminated with it and catch it. And we have that torch of life going on. It's a simple thing, but very hard to convince the world to do it.
Yeah. And that's what everything you said was like sparking that little fire within you. That's what this podcast is all about, igniting that power within you, that little spark. And you're teaching that every single day to people. And it comes with building resilience, but starting with loving yourself, tapping into spirituality, whatever it may be that you believe in, but the goodness, not the bad, right? And I love that. It's so true. I believe that. I don't care what religion that anybody is, as long as you're portraying love, that's all that matters. And
That's
it
it.
is true. Spirituality actually helped me tap into hope. And that was a big piece for me to move on, to help me get out of the victim mentality of like,
Mhm.
hope. I know that, God is on my side, and he kept telling me and reminding me like, okay, just get through this and then you'll get the life that you want, which is being a mom at the time, during the 2021. And so, like yours is for you, your own story of like, yeah, you finally ignited your power so you can be this big, author and like, international, speaker, ambassador. It's just amazing how God really truly shows us what we're really meant to do here in this world. But it's
Yeah,
your choice if you want to do anything with it or not. Like if you
that's
want to
it.
learn, tap into it. It's not going to just drop on your lap one day,
No.
right?
And this inspired me to do so much more than, okay, yeah, I'm gonna write a book. Oh yeah, okay, I published it. Ooh, top seller, yeah. No, I don't rest on my laurels. If I see that I did that, if God let me do that, if I can accomplish that with God's help, He's got more plans than I ever imagined. And He did have a bigger purpose because now, since my 10th book, I'm now introducing a children's book, Marty Spark, and it leads right back to that planted resilience in each and every one of us. We have to flex that muscle. We have to teach the children how to handle adversity, how to handle, we don't get everything we want. We get everything we need. We
Mhm.
don't get because we demand, we don't get everything instantly. We have to earn it. We have to sweat. We have to cry. We have to break ourselves sometimes just to be proud that we were able to accomplish something we didn't think we could. So and everything worth having to me in my life has been a struggle.
Yeah.
The beauty of it is I can see that it was well worth it. Some people never see that. Some people think they've never amounted to anything. And that's the part that if you bring it all back to what do you know about you instead of what is it that people tell you you are? That'll open up a whole, chain of wow, I didn't know that I was looking at it differently than I should have been. So it's everyday practice. It's a lot of work, but it's well worth the
Yeah.
effort.
Aw, and what practices do you have to do on a daily basis to help you remind yourself? You can like kind of teach people what you do because, some of this is not natural. Like what you said. You just don't even notice. Sometimes you're stuck in that victim mentality. You're like, how do I build that resilience or how do I see that perspective of like, oh, this is actually teaching me a lesson to help me build resilience to become the better version of me, you know?
That's it. And
What are the
well, I think the biggest one that taught me that I learned somewhere, halfway through whatever little bits and pieces was gratitude. Grateful. Grateful every day that I wake up to do it again. And when I go to bed, I say, thank you, God, for giving me all these opportunities. Let me do better next time. Let me see where I went wrong. And if you're on a constant check that way, you see where you keep tending the old ways, and then you learn to hit the brakes, and then you're like, no, not that's a dead end, don't go there. And then if you do it enough times and you repeat it, you'll say, okay, I'm done with that. I'm not doing that no more. And this is where you coach yourself, because you will, if you start sitting down. And one thing that I also do is like a list of all the, like the five most important priorities to have for the week. So I have that list, and I'm always addressing it. And if I can't address it that day, I was like, okay, this takes priority tomorrow. So I don't crucify myself. I don't cuss myself out for not having that perfect plan that I'm checking off each as a checklist. I just simply address it. And there's times when I don't feel like doing anything, but I do, for the most part. I will say that because I'm doing all this, I have a lot more energy. I wake up at 5 in the morning. I don't go to sleep till probably 10:30 at night. But when I have that day, it's like, you did work, and it shows. And because I've been doing it for the last 5 years, I see how big of a difference my life has made in the last 5 years, because I have focused on the baby steps that got me to the next step. And if we look at it that way, it's not like, oh, well, I'm never going to be that. I can't even write. I know. Okay, you can't write? Record. Record. Record whatever it is that you're feeling, and then you'll go back and look at it, and then you'll start saying, why did I write that? I could fix that. I don't need to say it that way. That's what happened with me. It's like I start recording things that just constantly nagging, and then just put it down. And also write it down and burn it, because sometimes it's like something vicious that, like, I'm a mistake. No, I wrote it many times. I'm a mistake. Torch it. No, okay. No, no, I'm not. I'm an evolution. I'm a work in progress. You change the words, and you'll start seeing, I just didn't see it before, and go easy on yourself. But exercise, nature, eating properly. Those are the most important things, because if your body's not right, your mind's going to go whack,
Mhm.
and your soul's going to be somewhere else. And so when you have all that alignment of mind, body, and soul, and you feel that balance of making the proportionate or the calculated risk to dare to go outside that comfort zone and say, I tried that before and I didn't do too bad. Let me try that. And what is the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't work, but you'll learn something from it. And if you go and study all the people that have been very successful in their lives, most of them in their older years, realize I didn't give up. I kept trying. And with Walt Disney, and even Steve Jobs, with Apple, I mean, all these people were constantly going against the tide, going against the current, but were very focused that they had a mission. We're very focused that they had a dream, and we're very focused. So I didn't have dreams because I thought if I dream, you're really crazy. All right.
Yeah.
But the realization that I've accomplished so many things has taught me how to dream, and the dreams are coming reality. And that's the difference too, that when we start naming what we really want out of life, start gathering the people around you that are supporting you in that, it becomes reality. And then you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I learn this before? But there's a rhyme and a reason why we go through what we do. But that's why I say if the kids start young, they'll be in top shape by the time they're 40.
Oh, that's so true. I love that you made a book about building resilience because that is so true, especially now in these day and age. I feel like kids are more less resilient, like meaning the parents want to like do everything
Protect them.
and protect
Eh,
them and
That's
baby them and
mhm.
like it's different because when we grew up our parents didn't even care or know where we were. We're outside playing. They're like just be back by dinner, but now it's like we have to pick them up. What are they doing? Like, being helicopter parents is just a different time. I understand. I mean,
Yes.
I have a
And there's
two-year-old.
there's reasons for that because life is really dealing a harsh thing that I didn't face when I was little, even though I don't think most people face what I faced when I was little, but still that proportion of having the family value system, the virtues and everything present for those children makes all the difference when the parents are involved in whatever it is they're doing, and that guidance will make a huge difference in the outcome of what they end up being when they grow up.
Yeah, that's so true. And thank you for sharing that because that's what I'm trying to do. Like, you have to also set an example for your kids because they
Mhm.
see what you're doing and just like simple practices of eating, just eating healthier, right?
Yeah.
So I've noticed just me eating healthier, my daughter will eat the same healthy things with me, which is so beautiful to see. And
Mhm.
she just like loves steamed broccoli, and everybody's like, whoa, she's such a good eater on vegetables. Like, why? I'm like, it's because I eat, a lot of veggies. So she sees me and she's like, I want to try and be like you. So it comes from us setting that example as well, as long is you always show up the best version of yourself, you're benefiting everybody else around you.
That's it. And even me not being a mom, I see that whatever I do in front of a child is gonna affect them. And that's another thing that it taught me. All this taught me that wherever we are, with whomever we are, whatever we're doing, it doesn't just affect us. It affects everyone around us. In the grocery store, you see people all, oh God, the food's so expensive. Oh God, this line's so long. I go in there and I'm smiling.
Yeah.
Why are you smiling? Life is good. I'm alive. I'm here buying food for my sustenance. That is a gift. So like one lady at the register says, "Wow, I never thought of it that way. I'm working. I'm making money." I said, exactly. When we look at it that way, instead of, oh God, I got to go to work on Monday. I can't wait till Friday, and then the weekend's gone and we're right back in the rut. When we retire, what do? Nothing.
Mm.
Because we were such a hurry to get retired and not do nothing. You've already done nothing to get to the point where you're at now. So your life doesn't mean anything because you haven't added up anything in your favor to make it say, I did something. I did something. I think if we all had that in our heads that we need to accomplish something daily for the good of mankind, we would be very productive.
Yeah, I believe that. And instead of like scrolling on social media, like looking at all the negativity around the world or
That's it.
gossip that you can find about celebrities, if we focused on helping each other and, helping one another with just loving and being, in gratitude or whatever, life would be so much more different.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's just a little bit of my to-do list of life, and it's just it is important to notice what you do and how you affect others is key. It is key.
I love that. I love your daily list. And I love how you mentioned gratitude. This is what I teach every single day. I'm like, I post it every single day, like even the most minute things on my Instagram. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky that I get to nourish my body with this plain food. But to me, I feel like it's delicious because it's so nourishing. It's like flavorful, and other people are like, whoa, this is what you eat, Kathy? I'm like, yes, I love it. But just being grateful, grateful for everything that you have. And, I tell people, wake up, the first thing you do, try to be grateful for at least three things, like list it. It's like building that muscle of gratitude because we've grown up not being grateful, a lot of us, right? Of not being grateful for what we have, right?
And,
You're
and
always,
we may
yeah.
have been grateful. I say we might be grateful momentarily, but
Yeah.
we focus so much on all the bad stuff that happens that we find it subconsciously we're not grateful for anything. But really and truly, if we flip the script and say, no, yes, I had this happen and this happened, but look at all the stuff I didn't have happen. Look at all the stuff I accomplished. Look at all the stuff I was able to, fly through or overcome. And we all have that. We all have that. And if we look at it, you're going to take the next step in a different way, and you're going to look back and make those baby steps and say, I can't believe I got through that. I can't believe I got through that. And it's in disbelief that you're accomplishing things, but when you practice it enough times, you're like, wow. Well, who is this? Who is this? Because it is, you discover an alternate you that was deep down inside of that muck of life that we make. And we just got to bring that back out of us. But it's in there. It's been in there since we were little, and we
Yeah.
just need to revive it.
Yeah. Oh, that is so, so true and such a good piece of advice because honestly, we do come to this earth, realm, whatever it may be, being pure, just like this pure, like light. And,
Mhm.
again, like what you said, we get fed all these negative thoughts and beliefs, etc. And then you start, becoming who you are. But always looking back at is you as a baby or just any baby in general will help you realize, like, wow, they're so pure and they're just so full of love. We need to be like that.
And babies are so cool because when you bring a baby into the room, everybody's like, blah, 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 blah. And what it is you're craving to be that innocent. You're craving that love, that joy, that purity that you're talking about. Because if we were all like that, we wouldn't be in the pickle we're in now.
True. So true. So if you could give one piece of advice to someone feeling stuck, undervalued, or like they need to prove themselves, what it would it be?
This is where make a list. Make a list of 10 adjectives. And I did this. This was probably my first big shift, but I didn't realize it back then. So I make a list of 10 adjectives that describe you in a good way. Okay? When they asked me to do it, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm a mistake. I lost my jobs. I was in a medical university. I graduated and I didn't get it a career. And I was like, quick, quick, quick fire. All the reasons why I'm not. And they said, no. What are some good qualities? I got dumbfounded. It's like, I don't know. But just that dumbfoundedness made me realize you just never look at the good of you. You never see what's good in you, and there is good in you. You're alive. You talk. You have all your limbs. Yes, you were in a chair, and yes, you've had numerous surgeries, and you've got tons of scars like Freddy Krueger. Who cares? You're walking. You're capable of putting thoughts in your head. You're capable of undoing mistakes by learning the lesson. So I started seeing, okay, oh, and then there was people, these are where you surround yourself with non-toxic people, and they will help you. draw all the goodness out of you too, because they see something in you that you don't even see in yourself. And when they start pulling it out, it's like an extraction, like, oh, I didn't know. Okay, yeah, we could do that. So it's cool. It's a cool evolution, but it has to be for you to do. You wanting to do it. No one else can force you to do it. If you want change in your life, that's the first place you look at yourself.
Oh, such a good piece of advice and perfect way to end this podcast because that is such a powerful tool. I did something similar to that too, and I was labeling myself like, as a sister or a mom, and like I was just saying all these negative things, but then they're like, someone was like, no, what is like what makes you valuable? Not like you applying you're like a mom or something, like attaching to
Yeah,
somebody else.
what
Like, your own identity. And I struggled with that. I was like, what? It was so hard to do at first, but then now I am more confident and I practice this tool, which you should do not just once, but more often until you really feel like each and every word that you put on that list. So it's so powerful. I love
and
that.
this is you're looking at a person that was petrified to meet other people. To me, I had told myself back then, oh yeah, I moved 49 times. I don't have any business meeting anybody for what? They're just gonna take it away from me. That was the garbage I was telling myself. But now I'm just amazed that I let that go because I've gone global. I don't care where I connect. It's like I make a connection with someone that never met me before, and all of a sudden we have common ground. And that's why I say that God was teaching me that no matter where I traveled, whoever I met, whatever language they were in, we all have that desire to be recognized, be loved, and acknowledged. And that's what I'm sticking with, and that's my story.
Oh, I love it so much. Thank you so much for being here, sharing all your knowledge, your story. That was so inspiring, full of resilience, and literally showing people how to ignite your power, which is so beautiful. So last but not least, where can people find more about you or learn more about you if they want to
I
connect?
have a website which I'll be glad to include in the comments or whatever. It's martiemsmith.com. I'm on all the social media and I got all kinds of recognition and awards, but it doesn't matter. Those accolades are wonderful and I cherish them and I appreciate them. But the thing is, the trick is to see yourself doing the very thing that I'm doing because it's possible. And this from the person that didn't believe in herself. This from the person that said, there's no way, no how. I was a mistake. I'm not going to make it in this life. Look at me now. Look at me now. And it's not cockiness, it's wanting to share it with the world.
Yeah, I don't see it as cockiness at all. I see it as like you truly are inspired. You love yourself and your life, and that's how we all should be living. So you're literally that pure joy, light, and that example that we all are craving and that we all want, you know? So thank you. Thank you
Amen.
so much.
Thank you, Kathy.